I think the government has a lot that we can learn, right, from industry in looking at their use cases and how they have created both value and streamlined their operations.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of AI GovCast. I'm your host, staff writer Sylvia Oakland. When Donald Trump took office back in January, one of his first presidential actions focused on replacing the previous administration's AI executive order. Since then, two new AI memos have been released, M-25-21 and M-25-22. Dated April 3rd and released on April 7th, the new memos focus on agencies' AI acquisition and outlines agencies' next steps as they work to integrate AI technologies. I spoke with former Space Force Chief Technology and Innovation Officer Dr. Lisa Costa. She recently joined Seeker's advisory board to help agencies implement AI quickly and responsibly. Now, Dr. Costa and I talked before these two new memos were signed, but her insights remain the same. The Trump administration is looking to reduce barriers when it comes to implementing AI, and they're likely to lean on industry partners to accomplish that.
Coming back into office, he rescinded 14110. And I believe, again, it was because the perception that it was just too stringent of testing and review that was very time consuming, and the government did not have the assets and the skills to perform that testing to get repeatable, outcomes. So the good thing about that executive order, though, that was put out under Biden's administration was that it spurred the development of a database that created more than 1,700 use cases for how the government could use AI that would improve its efficiency, effectiveness, lethality, you name it. I mean, it was in every category. So that's good. The downside was that very little ended up being actually operationalized because, again, there are only so many AI people.
M-25-21 focuses on agencies' efforts to have a bolstered AI workforce. The memo instructs agencies to cut down bureaucratic bottlenecks and redefine AI governance to allow for effective innovation. It reads, quote, as a step towards accelerating responsible adoptions, agencies must establish clear expectations for their workforce on appropriate AI use, particularly when an agency is using AI to support consequential decision-making. The memo builds on previous work to establish a chief AI officer at each agency and tasks the OMB director with creating a CITO AI council within the next 90 days. In addition to the workforce, the memo tasks agencies with updating internal policies on IT infrastructure and creating a generative AI policy within 270 days.
There's two pieces of this when I talk about AI for the government. Yes, you have to have this infrastructure, right, on the commercial side, but you also have to have the infrastructure on the government side. And I'm sure you've probably read the executive order establishing DOGE and some of the things that are going to be tackled under it. Well, one of the things that is going to be tackled under DOGE, at least it says, is big infrastructure. And that is incredibly important because you can't run AI on 25-year-old communications networks. I don't think we're doing away with AI governance, especially in areas that affect, lives, right? So you're making a decision about autonomy or, something like that. You've still got to have, oversight and understanding of what is happening. However, I think what we're seeing is a reflection of a move away from the very stringent oversight in favor of fostering a much more fast and innovation, focused development of AI. So the ethical use of and explainability of AI is still very much in play here, but it's focused on getting capability into the hands of users. There has been if I was, a company leader and I read all of the restrictive language, that might really confuse me, or it might make me very nervous, right? If I didn't have any government experience. Having government experience, I'm like, oh, of course, I think we're going to see this focus on moving fast, getting capability into the hands of users. That in turn, I think, is meant to help Doge get that efficiency that it's looking for so that it can be used, in other areas.
The second memo released, M-25-22, focuses on how agencies are procuring AI technologies and solutions. The main themes of this memo are to ensure that America can keep its competitive edge with AI, monitoring AI performance, and addressing risk management, and promoting cross-functional engagement while acquiring AI tools. The memo directs General Services Administration, in coordination with OMB, to develop a plan to release publicly available guides to assist agencies with AI procurement within 100 days. The Trump administration, back in January, announced the partnership between public and private sectors to boost the nation's AI infrastructure. And so far, the focus has been on how to get American-made AI into the hands of the public in the most efficient and responsible way.
We've seen industry really working hard to understand the government space. There are some, obviously, industries that are regulated, right? So they have a lot of the same challenges that government has, like the financial institutions. So I think when industry can solve problems for highly regulated or sectors, they really are starting to address, kind of the larger government issues too. It's not in industry's best interest to create AI that functions poorly or has lots of errors in it. So no one, well, that's not really true. I was just looking for a good example, and perhaps social media isn't it, but putting out information about your company, right? Nobody needs to be told that, people need to have basic information about your company and what you do, and how you talk about your talent and your benefits to attract and retain, great talent. So I don't see there being this need to tell people how they're going to benefit from AI, right? The real key is putting it in the hands of people. And quite frankly, commercial industry in the US has done a really good job.
Thanks for listening to this episode of AI GovCast. Join us later this season as we talk with federal leaders about the future of AI. And if you can't wait until then, be sure to register for our May 13th event, AI FedLab. Through roundtable discussions and interactive sessions, we'll explore AI's impact on national security and critical infrastructure. You can learn more at govciomedia.com/events. Thanks again for listening to this episode.